handmade chocolates and see how they get their straight line finish one by one. No wonder they cost the earth. This is a unique factory, the last that clings to the handmade perfection of yesterday, high over modern London's bustling Piccadilly, a story up from the elite shopping crowds that throng this elegant store. There are women up to their wrists in it. And the one-by-one treatment these sweetmeats receive isn't over when they've been fashioned and cooled down. They're hand-sorted, and after that, they're each and every one of them hand-packed. A personal service, you could say. Of course, in the old-world atmosphere of elegance that you still encounter here, where mass production is a cheap and ugly word, you get the self-same handmade feeling in the shop itself, on the display counter. These are the end products of craftsmanship in the kitchen. You could almost say edible works of art. Feel tempted? Well, you know that every chocolate here has been made one at a time the way a clever grandma used to make them. That's probably what you've been wanting to do since we started this story.
The basic recipe, for the benefit of those do-it-yourself enthusiasts who have a sweet tooth, is 100 weight of glucose and 100 weight of pure cane sugar boiled at 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, come to think of it, perhaps it's not worth going to all that trouble. For the job that's always puzzled us, the art of lettering the rock, let's meet foreman Jerry Toll, who's been making rock for 38 years, a skill handed down by his father, who had been making it for 48 years. Each letter is built separately, thin strips of toffee cut to length and fitted together so that the visible ends form the outline. When the letters have been fitted in, this large lump of toffee, called a batch, weighs about 200 weight. Still in a soft, doughy state, it molds easily in the skilled hands of these craftsmen and is rolled into shape like a huge, appetizing Swiss roll. The next stage is to stretch the rock, and this is the way they do it. The men work at speed because the whole process must be completed within 1 hour, otherwise it becomes too hard to handle. The final rolling and stretching is done by hand, until what started as a lump of toffee, not much longer than a walking stick, has become 180 yards of trim rock. Although this rolling looks easy enough, it is in fact a highly skilled job, men like Michael Young having to serve an apprenticeship of 6 years. Finally, the rock is cut into strips 7 inches long, in itself a fascinating performance. The finished product is in fact practically a work of art it seems a pity to eat. Oh well, who cares about art anyway?
The day of the handmade sweet is not done, and that's no humbug, even if that really is. They call that a pulling machine. It aerates the syrup mixture until it gets a light color. This is how they make old-fashioned mint humbugs at Bury in Lancashire. They start with a chewy caramel centre, and from there it's quite an art getting a giant striped sweet assembled. And one would wonder just how they cut it down to size. But that's a long way off just yet. This is a man's work, and that means manhandling an 84-pound lump that would be a darn sight harder to get your teeth into than that sugar sculpture at Blenheim Palace. The Things that happen to sweetmeat on its way to our watering mouths. This is where sweetmeat becomes a sausage in confectioner's jargon, and the work by hand is almost over. This marvel of a machine rolls and stretches that giant sweet into a thin, striped humbug line, all in one movement. But it starts with something of a wrestling match. They say a woman's work is never done. Margaret here makes 60 million mint humbugs every year on this machine. Out they come at the other end in the familiar suckable size, just right for those with a soft spot for a good long chew. Machines and men together make